What is up, everybody? We are back with some Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, and we are here to answer that question today. Should you pull on the Yuffie Spring Event banner? If you guys are new to the channel and you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, follow along with what we do here, hit that like button, comment down below, all that great stuff, and let's get into this. So reminder about these videos are designed to really kind of look at the overall stats and use of the actual weapon and gear, and then to make that decision of, is this something that will fit with what you need, especially if you're somebody who has those limited crystals, you're that free-to-play player, or maybe that very, very, very light spender, and you're trying to figure out, is this something to spend those crystals on, or should you wait maybe for something else later down the road? Does this fit in with your current setups and whatnot? If you are somebody who has that, that extremely favorite character, your character is Yuffie, you have to have everything for her, then by all means, pull for the banner, guys. Just make sure you can at least get the costume. Because again, costumes are the limited thing that, unless they decide to add them in back later with another event, they don't show back up again. Most weapons, unless it's a limited banner, most weapons can be wishlisted and you can always get those. So always try to make sure that if you're going to go for these, that you go for the gear. So, that being said, let's get into this. So, looking at the overall look of it, I kind of mentioned this in my last video about when this dropped, that the gear looks really good. It's a good mixture of Alice in Wonderland when you look at the colorations, the apron, you've got the hints to the white rabbit with the pocket watch, the bunny ears, the Queen of Hearts here with the crown. Her shoes are very Alice from Alice in Wonderland, the coloration, and the mismatched socks here. You've got the diamond with the stripes, very much, again, very Alice in Wonderland-esque. But it has a hint of Yuffie with it, which is kind of neat. I like that they've done this, where they've combined this fictional real life thing, that a story that already exists, but put it together in the universe of Final Fantasy. So like I said, Yuffie, we see a lot of her with the gear. She's got the nice flowing arms here, which is kind of, I guess, really, shouldn't say really typical, but when I've seen a lot of Japanese, formal wear type things, especially older, authentic wear, it has this kind of aesthetic with the more flowing arms. So you've kind of combined those two aesthetics, and you've got the top fold here, like the robe type fold. Again, I think this thing looks awesome. Not a huge Yuffie person, but I do like the look of this. I think this is a really, really good looking costume. And I said earlier, I'm a sucker for pocket watches. I think this pocket watch looks awesome. I love the look of it. You got the little side pouches on each of her legs here. Little side purse there. Overall, this costume looks absolutely great. She looks awesome, and it's a gorgeous costume. So again, if you're somebody who likes Yuffie, definitely pull for this costume if you have to have everything for hers. Okay, so let's look at stats then. So we'll start with the gear. The bunny apron provides physical and magic ward plus 15%. This is a solid R ability for any gear at this point. Survivability is always a great thing. If you're able to get an extra percentage in here, instead of having to squeeze it out of materia and things like that, that is always super useful. And then the ribbon rabbit ears. This is going to grant physical attack down, max potency tier +1. We got this with the Angeal gear, where I think it was Angeal. Yeah, the Angeal gear, where it provided +1 to physical defense down. And, our physical defense up, I'm sorry. To physical defense up, it was a buff. And I kind of misunderstood how this worked when that first came out, but now that I've got his gear and I know how that works, I understand how this works more. So when you're looking at a weapon and it says, it provides, for in the case of this, so we're looking at physical attack down, does physical attack down mid to high. So the first time you cast it, it's going to go mid. The second time you cast it, it would go high. With this, you're going to get a +1. Now, how I kind of understood that was because it says it only affects the max tier. So I thought like, oh, well, if the weapon is a high to high weapon, that first cast, because it's already at the max tier at high, it would get the +1, but that is not how it works. It does have to go to that second cast. So if it's high to high, you still have to cast it twice. Regardless, you're going to have to cast twice to get this +1. So if it was a mid to high debuff in this case, it'll be mid on the first cast, high +1, so very high on the second cast. If it was a high to high debuff, you're going to get high on the first cast and then very high on the second cast. So regardless, this does take 2 casts, because that was my justification of, do you take that Angeal weapon to get it to the high to high, which I think it was OB6, or can you leave it mid to high? And it was one of those, well, if you do the high to high, you can get the very high in the first cast. Again, that was how my original thought went, which again, it doesn't work that way, so keep that in mind. This affects the max potency cast, which is technically the second cast. Alright, Watch of the Hunt. So, what this thing does is it does 340% magic lightning damage to all enemies. P attack is decreased low to mid across all enemies, and when your HP is 70% or more, P def is increased from low to mid across all allies. So you get a debuff and a buff in this. Alright, so I'll come back to my complaint with that, because I do have a slight complaint there. We do have HP boost, magical ability potency boost, M attack, circle, sigil. So this part, awesome. This is a great solid thing for this. The only thing I might switch out would be to, instead of having to boost HP here, having it boost lightning potency. I would like to see boost magic ability potency and boost lightning potency. And this actually kind of ties back into my complaint, but again, after we look at the max weapon, we'll do that. So when you get up to OB1, you're now doing 390%, so you've got that 50% jump in damage. You're still low to mid. That has not changed. What has changed is how long it lasts for. It's gone from 20 seconds to 22 and 12 to 16. Your boost HP is at 42. If you're main-handing this, which I'm assuming you would be, you're going to be at that 60% boost to your HP, and your magic ability potency, when that command gauge is maxed, is going to be at 30%. So get a nice little boost there. Taking this thing up to OB6, which is kind of a sweet spot for a lot of these weapons. Typically, if you're going to pull, I almost always suggest getting it to OB6, because that's where you're going to see that first jump in your potencies. And still get a solid amount of damage, and your aura abilities are going to be in a solid spot too. So in the case of this one, you got 480% magic lightning damage to all enemies. P attack is decreased mid to high, so we've jumped from low to mid to high. This right here is a huge reason to get this thing to OB6 if you're going to pull for it. 25 seconds for the duration. Your P def across all allies has gone from low to mid to high as well, for 16 seconds. Your HP is at 54. You are 1 point away from the 80% break, so you're still sitting at plus 70%. Your magic ability potency is now at 27, so you're at the plus 45% attack boost on that. Again, solid place to be in with this weapon. If you are lucky with your pulls, or you're that whale and you're going to go all in and you get it up to OB10, 540% magic lightning damage to all enemies. So you got a nice little, 60% boost there, which is kind of what we saw across going forward. The OB1 to OB6, though, you're looking at a 90%. That's the other reason to get the OB6. You get a bigger jump in damage. But we're at 540%, you're still mid to high. It's not going to go high to high, unfortunately. It does last for 30 seconds. And the P-Def increase when you're 70% or more on your HP is also mid to high. Again, does not go high to high, which is a little bit of a bummer. Boost HP has gone to 62. You're 3 points away from 90% boost to your HP, but you're at 80%, which is a good solid amount there. Magic ability potency is at 39, so you get a plus 60% boost to your max ability damage when that command gauge is full. Overall, it's a decent weapon. I don't have any complaints about the weapon and how that is set up. Here's where my complaints are. My complaints are this should not have been a weapon for Yuffie. This should not have been set up for Yuffie, and my reasoning for that is when we look at how the roles have been set up for characters, this is set up to be something for a support character. Yuffie has not been defined as a support character. She has been designed as an attack character. This should have been a DPS weapon. If we're going to start assigning roles to characters and say this character is going to be a healer, this character is going to be a support, this character is going to be a tank, then the weapons that are following at this point should follow those roles. I mean, I get a lot of characters had things that came out before we had the role system where they, like Cloud has some healing weapons. He does have some buff, debuff weapons where he kind of like a support type thing. But his main set has been attack. And that's why he got the attack role. Yuffie kind of honestly did start off as support. But then they started gearing her towards this attack role, and then they did release the role system and have her as an attack. So, the unfortunate side is this weapon is a support weapon. This is 100% a support weapon, and the gear is also support, providing that physical attack down. That's not something a tank would do. That's going to be something a support would do. If you're, looking at boosting physical defense and stuff like that, sure, that would be a tank in my opinion. But to lower the enemy's attack, that's going to be something that support does. And then one of the other big downsides to this gear with this stat is that when you look at Angeal's doing the PDEF up to all allies, as of this point in the game, the enemy doesn't have a way to make us unable to raise our physical defense. Yes, they can lower our physical defense, but they can't just say, nope, you're immune to raising your own defense. They can be immune to us lowering down their physical attack. So this could be completely useless in some battles. So it's not as strong as it could be, and it's definitely, in my opinion, not a good build for Yuffie. If we are trying to build her as an attacker, which is what the role has her designed for, I don't like this for her. I would have liked to have seen this on one of the other support characters. Again, it's not I'm not saying the gear itself is terrible and the weapon is terrible. I just don't think it's a good fit for Yuffie in that regard. It looks amazing on Yuffie. If they had given her these things and given it completely different things, made it like, magic lightning damage, 720%, or even the newer ones now, I guess, were like upwards of 900%. 900% magic lightning damage to a single enemy, or 720 to all enemies, and maybe she increased her own M attack or something like that. Kept these stats the same, I'd have been fine with this for her. Or like I said, maybe make this boost lightning potency and boost magic ability potency. I would have been fine with this for her. And then for the bunny apron, physical magic ward, and maybe make this that new, kind of like that new Arcanum where we're getting, where it's the damage is plus 30%, and then if you get the extra boost when the command gauge is full. That would have been a solid thing for Yuffie at this point, with her being an attacker role. But this, for her, I don't like. Again, place this on a support character, place these stats on a support character, I love it. So because of that, unfortunately, I really can't justify pulling on this banner if you are not somebody who has to have those things for Yuffie. Now that's my big complaint about this banner. My second complaint, this is somewhat of a minor complaint, is when we look at the upcoming guild battle. And again, this is released about a week before that guild battle. The guild battle is physical lightning. This is magic lightning. I kind of wish they would have made this physical lightning. That would have at least maybe even give a slight incentive to say, you know what, it might be worth pulling on. Because it can at least be used in the guild battle. I'm assuming we're going to get another banner next week with the guild battle where we're going to get a physical lightning weapon for somebody. But this should have tied into that. I really do feel like it should have. I mean, the banner ends on May 7th. It's going to be around for the duration of the guild battle. This should have been physical lightning, if anything. That would at least give it some redeeming qualities to go, okay, we can pull for it for Yuffie. Because also, when we look at Yuffie's weapons, if you're wanting to use her in this guild battle, she has no lightning weapons other than this featured weapon. So because of that, it's even less of an incentive to pull for this for the guild battle. That's my thoughts on this banner. Let me know down in the comments below what your thoughts are. I'm really trying not to be overly critical of this banner because, like I said, overall I do like the weapon and the gear together. I like the look of them. Just like I said, not for Yuffie. If Yuffie had been a support character from the get-go in the realm of her role, I'd feel differently. And like I said, I kind of wish it was physical lightning instead of magic, with that upcoming guild battle being physical. The other things to remember, guys, is that we do have the Durandal in this, the ultimate weapon for Zac. Again, solid weapon for him. They also have boosted the Bunny Bustier to 15 points in magic ability potency. And it does have a Water Blade Arcanum, which is really nice for Tifa. But that, again, that's my thoughts. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you're not already, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.